makes it possible to avoid stagnation water and humidity in the vineyards. Moreover, the plants are better exposed at the sunlight, and other end with the characteristic is very difficult mechanization, and the vineyards are workable only by hand, and this make a very important difference from the viticulture of the plains. These different elements make up the exclusive picture of our cellar, and all this allows us to produce wines with a unique and particular identity, which transmit to those who choose to drink them the uniqueness of the territory in which they are born. We produce in total 9 wines, 3 labels of re-fermented in bottle according to the ancestral method typical of this Emilian area. They are Palais d'Or from Sauvignon grapes, the Arsan from Lambrusco grapes, and the Besmain Capoleg Arrosé from Marzemino. We have 2 still red wines, the Peder from Pinot Noir and Capes from Cabernet Sauvignon. Both are aged for 18 months in large barrels. Finally, there are our classic method. We have a Blanc de Noir, 100% Pinot Noir, and Blanc de Blanc from Sauvignon Blanc, 100%. Moreover, we produce a rosé make with Pinot Noir and made with contact with the skin. The last method classic that Barbatella produced is Lambruscante. It's made with Lambrusco Grapparossa, Lambrusco Salamino, and Malbo Gentile. Is also classic method. All our classic method stand for at least 36 months on their own yeast to obtain sparkling wine with a long aging and a unique complexity. The goal, the aim of Barbatella is are organic by nature. Our commitment to a healthy and natural relationship with the environment start from the cellar, built according to the best eco-sustainable techniques. And we have a certification ISEA, and we are a member of FIBI. This certification are guarantee of our responsibility towards the place that hosts us and where we work. Our wines is very naturally and mirror our land, the vintage, and the earthy hands that go from the care of the vineyard to the mastery in the vinification process. The last slide is the Palais d'Or, is a Sauvignon re-fermented in bottle according to ancestral method, and Lambruscante, this is the classic method Brut Nature. And this is the wine we present at this presentation. Thank you.
Excellent, Massimiliano. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the 2 methods of production of these 2 wines?
Okay. We have ancestral method and the classic method over the 2 still red wine. Ancestral method is an inexpensive but more risky and difficult to control method of producing sparkling wine. Is almost certainly the oldest method we can use to produce sparkling wine. The ancestral method carry out a fermentation that stops with the lowering of temperature. The wine is then bottled with one yeast and the residual sugar. In spring, when temperature rise up, fermentation restarts, depleting the sugar residual, which are transformed in CO2 dioxide carbon gas by the work of the yeast. Classic method is more different, is more expensive, is every stage of and process of this method is measured and studied. Is broadly speaking a sparkling wine that is formed through two fermentation. The first fermentation results in a still wine. And the wine then undergoes a second fermentation in the bottle, adding sugar and yeast to produce carbon dioxide gas. After a few weeks, months, or even years, depending on their aging, the wine is disgorged to remove the yeast. They have done their job, putting on the final cork and optionally adding a liqueur d'expédition with sugar, other wine, or maybe kind of brandy or a particular formula of the winery. The wine that made with the classic method is clarified to ensure that it's not cloudy and have a product most smoothly, more soft in respect to ancestral method.
Thank you, Massimiliano. I'm just wondering if there are any other questions. Otherwise, I can't see any questions on our chat. So I will thank you very much, and we will go to our next producer. Our next winery is also from Emilia-Romagna, and it's Campana SNC di Campana Gio Maria Dante, a winery that was founded in 1972 and situated in the hills of Piacenza. And the Nato Bio label is from a 5-hectare sustainable organic vineyard planted to sandy soils, producing a line of traditional wines from local grape varieties. So I would like to invite Patrizio Campana, who's the owner and second-generation winemaker, to introduce the two labels to us. Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you to everyone to be present. Okay, I'm here. I'm Patrizio Campana, and with me there is Gloria, that is my husband, and daughter. Sorry, my English is really awful. My father founded this company in 1972, and he started like a bottler. But in these 50 years of a story, we changed a lot because we wanted to increase our quality, and every time we change something to do better. And so now we produce our grapes directly in our vineyards that named La Ciocca. And in these vineyards, we can work directly from the field to the bottle, and so we can control all the process, all the chain of production. Is a long change of our work, because my father started like a bottler, and so he buy the wine directly from the little producer. But if we want to have more quality and more continuity and more stability of the quality, we need to work directly on the grapes. And so we grown up our quality in also in the field when in 2015 we start a project with the Catholic University of Piacenza to do the best of sustainability inside of the vineyards. They plant some station weather, and they control what there is the change of the weather, and so give us the alert to start the treatment only when it's necessary. And so we reduce in this way around 30% of the chemical products in the vineyard. And so the last step was that is the reason that why we are here, is the biologic, the organic wines, because the next step was sure to do biologic or organic wines, because these 5 hectares that we choose we choose this hectare because these grapes is inside sorry inside the Placenziano Park, because there is a very historical place. This is a geologic area where we have been discovered the remains of a whale and a dolphin. It's strange, but now the seaside is around 200 kilometers from here. But 5 million years ago, in the Pliocene epoch, here there was the sea. Now, if we want to walk inside our vineyards, we can see the shells and the fossil, like when we walk directly on the beach. But the remain of the seawater leave in the soil some minerals that I think that you can taste directly in the wine, because the minerals is what leave very wide and open taste to our wines. About the wines that we are present to you is a Nato Bio line. Nato Bio because the wine in the past was naturally bio. Only now we need to say that this one is made without or limited chemical products, because in the past is only the normal work. But now we want to say that this wine is made like a longer time ago. And so you can see this bottle that remained to this past. Okay, the first wine, if you can open the bottle, the first wine that we can taste together, because you can add my wine in your store, is Malvasia. Malvasia is an aromatic grape that is particularly and autochthon of Piacenza, because Malvasia aromatica di Candia is only from Piacenza. The first flavor that you have in the nose is also the aromatic taste. The color that you see in this bottle is in this wine is yellow, but a little bit more charged, because we use a little bit surmaturation, and then to have more alcohol to preserve the wine. And so we need, in this way, we can use limited sulfite. And so the color is a little bit more yellow. And the second wine.
Yes, I think we should go to the second wine.
Okay, the second wine is Barbera, and Barbera I think everyone know what is Barbera, but in Piacenza, the Barbera is the first grape that about the red grape with the Bonarda, because Barbera and Bonarda together made the Gutturnio, that is the flag of Piacenza wines. Barbera in this case is 100%, and we have a very strong color, and then a very hard wine. In this way, the flavor is more fruity, and the taste is soft and really drinkable. But if I think that this wine have a long time to be aged, because the acidity and the strongest of the Barbera grapes can live a really long time to this wine. Do you think?
I think I love it.
Thank you. The bottle is really particular, because I say before that I think that this wine is like a long time ago, and so we wanted to transmit this immediately, and so we leave the cork a little bit out of the glass, if you see now, because in this way, some years ago, when we close with by hand, a little bit of cork leave out, and so this is a particular to remember this. And the bottle, the glass was satin, because I remember the time that it stayed in the cellar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, everyone.
I'm just going to see if there are any questions. I can't see any questions, but I have a question for you. I'd be interested to know, how do you match your Malvasia? What is it typical of the area, and how do you match this? What would you match this to?
In this area, we produce Malvasia also, and we are famous for our salami. And so salame and pancetta and the coppa. And when we stay in the vineyard, we can do a picnic with my friend and see behind me the Pianura Padana, and then the mountain of the Alps in the end is a very beautiful picture for me. And so the wine is a special paired with the salami and the cheese also.
Thank you, Matteo. That's excellent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm sorry, as I can see some kind of echoing on my audio. Anyway. I'd like to go now to our next winery, which is Camperchi Società Agricola, which is in Tuscany. So now we are going to go to the territory of Val di Chiana, and to an estate with 22 hectares of high-density vineyards and elevations reaching some 600 meters above sea level. And these are all planted to very rich, stony, calcareous soils. I'd like to welcome Matteo Campagni, who's the sales manager, and he'll be introducing his two wines. Matteo?
Yeah, welcome to every one of yours. A nice day. I just would like quickly to introduce the international sales team, and then I will leave the floor to Giulia, who is going to introduce the wines. So Giulia, on my right, she's responsible in particular for the German market, and Martina on my back, responsible for the French market. So leave the floor to Giulia.
I can't hear.
Okay, now? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we had the face-to-face contact. We are really proud to have this great opportunity to go on telling the story of our company. So Camperchi is a relatively recent company. It's located among the Tuscan hills in Arezzo, precisely in Civitella and Val di Chiana. And it was born in 2006 when José Cartellone, during one of his travels here in Italy, coming from Argentina, fell in love with this beautiful place, and he was able to understand the great potential that this place could have. At the moment, we have 24 hectares of yards. We are mostly orientated towards the production of red wines. We have mainly Sangiovese and Merlot that we battle both in purity, but also in an incredible, creative, funny blends with Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon. We have also 2 wine labels, one of which we are going to taste together, the blend of Sauvignon and Grechetto. I'm going to share with you a shared presentation. Okay, now I was joking. I don't know why, but okay. There are some points that I would like to discuss with you. The first thing is that we are in a sloping area. It means that our vineyards are located at different altitude, and so they are exposed at different microclimate. Another thing that I think it's really important for us is that we have an high density plants. We are speaking about 6,000 to 8,000 plants per hectare. For this reason, the plants are really stressed and tend to produce lower but of great quality. The last thing that I would like to tell you and that I love about our winery is the fact that although our production is a relative importance, since we are speaking about 200,000 bottles per year, we go on with this artisan mentality. So we have a 3 selection of the berry, a first selection in the vineyards through the manual harvesting, and then a double selection at the sorting table. And this is our secret to produce only wine of great quality. But then we have to move into the cellar, where we find our in-house winemaker, Salvino Picone, that is not a consulate, but he's here with us every single day to make this daily check. We have the fermentation, both in still or in large wooden vats. It depends on the wine. And we refine the wine or in still or in wooden vats or in barrique or tonneau. For example, our Sangiovese refined in tonneau of 500 liters, but Merlot refined in barrique that are smaller of 250 liters, because it is more protected and it needs more wood. So we want to give personality to our wine, but not being too aggressive. Today I'm going to present you our 2 organic wine. We have our Chianti. He is a young boy. The vintage is 2019, and it is certified as organic, of course. And I only would like to see one thing about this wine that is really well represented by the logo, that is a wheel, and is the magician of transformation of our wine. It means that every time I taste our Chianti, I can realize how it's changing day by day, step by step. It refines only in still at least 6 months, and then it refine also 3 months in the bottle. In this wine, you can feel, of course, an explosion of red fruits and also the typical notes of Sangiovese, that is pepper. And yeah, I think that this is really a great wine. We also are proud to tell you that we entered into the top 10 of Chianti lovers by Gambero Rosso. That is one of the most important enogastronomic magazine here in Italy. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Tell us about your second wine.
Yeah, we have Il Corniolo. Here we have a blend of Sauvignon Blanc that is cultivated at 700 meters, so with great acidity and freshness of the grape. And then we have a little part of the Grechetto cultivated at 300 meters, and so with a great sweetness of the fruit. It's strange, maybe it sounds strange, but they maturate at the same moment. So the manual harvesting occurs at the same moment. The operators blend the two different grapes immediately and refine them in still, at least 5 months and then 3 months in the bottle before being launched on the market. This is a great wine that I really love. I think that is the joy of our company. You can feel here many scents, from lychee to these citrus notes, but also if you try this wine at room temperature, fried sage. And I would like to tell you something about my experience when I have some customers here in the winery and we do the wine tasting. I let the customer try this wine at the beginning of the wine tasting, so they can feel all these parfums, but also at the end of the wine tasting. So after 3, 4, 5 red wines that are really strong, full-bodied and structured, to let people understand how this wine is really structured. I thought it refined only in still, but it's really great. So for our visitors, our buyers, if you want, you can do this experiment.
Thank you, Giulia. That was really great. A presentation of both wines. Just a quick question there is.
Yeah.
I'd just like to know, what are the main characteristics of the wines of Val di Chiana? Seeing it's still part of Tuscany, still Sangiovese, just, what are the differences?
Yeah, this is not a simple question, of course, since every winery applies its own method of working. But I think that we have to find out the answer in the terroir and also in the climate. This is really important. For what concerns the terroir, we have calcareous soil rich in stone. And for this reason, the resulting wines have the tendency to have this great acidity, this power, and this structure. So I think that in Civitella and Val di Chiana, we are going to produce all these wines that are really strong, really powerful in the mouth. And also I think that a factor that have a great influence on our wine is the climate. We are from 300 meters on, and so there is a great thermic excursion between the night and the day. During the day is really sunny and during the night is really windy, and so we have this wine with an incredible freshness. I hope that everything is clear. Okay.
Yes, I have 2 more questions for you from our chat. Roberto Facciani would like to know, he said, sorry, what is the blend of the Chianti?
Yeah, we have, I'm sorry, we have an 80% of Sangiovese, cutted with 20%, 30%, it depends, of course, of Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon. So you can feel at the end of the mouth these herbaceous notes that is typical from Petit Verdot, but also this structure given by the Cabernet Sauvignon.
Fantastic. And one more question, a last question from Simon Buzzacaro.
Hope it will be not so difficult, yeah.
No, is there skin maceration on the Sauvignon? Skin maceration.
The skin maturation.
Yes, is there?
Okay. Allora, Sauvignon we tend to harvest Sauvignon in the middle of September. The temperature here is perfect. It's really difficult to analyze the exactly period in which Sauvignon is ready, since we have Sauvignon in different parts of our sloping area. So we have Sauvignon at 400 meters, but also Sauvignon at 600 meters. So the phenolic and the technologic maturation in these 2 different VRs occurs in different moments. We have a first harvesting in the middle of September and another harvesting at the end of September. About the skin, we can see the fact that is really gold, and in fact also the.
How long does the wine stay on the skins? how long does the wine stay on the skins?
We don't have don't make maceration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Giulia. I have to cut you there to go on to our next producer. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. So we continue our journey, and we are now going up to the Veneto, and we're going to go to Caverde Bio Società Cooperativa, and actually this cooperativa is famous for its cheeses, its organic cheeses, which are absolutely excellent. And their winery estate, Otto Marzo, which was established in 1978 in the Valpolicella area, has 3 hectares of vineyards, producing some 25,000 bottles. So it's a very small entity in the Valpolicella appellation. I'd like to welcome Gianluca Righetti, who's the sales manager, and he'll be presenting their 2 wines. Thank you, Gianluca.
Thank you, Michelle, and good morning to everybody. My name is Gianluca Righetti, and I represent the wine brand Otto Marzo for Caverde. Caverde, as Michelle just said, was born in 1978 thanks to the cooperation of farmers, workers, and students. They were difficult years for agriculture in general due to the growth of the industrial sector in Italy. Anyway, the 2 main activities were focused on breeding for the dairy production and on vineyards cultivation. The deep knowledge of the territory, combined with the technical skills and ideals of the founding members, set the foundation of an agriculture focused on people wellness and in absolute harmony with nature. Since the beginning, the ideology of being an organic enterprise was ingrained in the business before any kind of regulation, so as a sort of organic pioneers, if you want. Now, more than 40 years have been passed, and the environment sustainability is still in the enterprise know-how and is the main priority in our total organic production. We firmly believe in a better future for next generations, and we are trying to teach them an approach completely oriented towards the respect for nature. The cultivation method adopted in all our kind of vineyards is a traditional Guyot. Actually, we have 8 different grape varieties: Corvina, Corvinone, Rondinella, Molinara, and Croatina from Valpolicella land, and White Pinot, Merlot, and Chardonnay in the southern part of Verona. Regarding the cultivation methods, we believe that constantly monitoring the vineyards and prevention are the most effective ways to verify their health. This is accomplished especially by the grassing method. In fact, by letting the grass grow between the rows, it's possible to obtain an important biodiversity increase in the soil, which guarantees a great biological balance for the plants. Other benefits are identified in a great increase of the nutritional organic substances in the earth, and there's a better ability of the soil to absorb, for example, excessive water during heavy rains. Specifically talking about wines, the products we decided to show at this meeting are Brut Millesimato and Ripasso Classico Superiore DOC. The first one represents our most produced wine with something around 6,000–7,000 bottles per year. It's clearly a fresh wine, and we get it with a 60 days long Charmat process. Its composition is completely made by White Pinot that grows on a medium texture clayey soil. As certainly you know, the White Pinot variety descends from a mutation of the most known Grape Pinot. The decision to produce a sparkling wine entirely composed with this grape is related to our willingness to give a gut structure to the wine, including also all its sweet and fruity notes contained in the mast. So, for all these reasons, we decided to use the White Pinot. It's a delicate grape and particularly exposed to the risks related to excessive rainfall years. In fact, if the grape is filled with too much liquid, the mast loses its acidity and becomes weaker to the parasites' attacks. But fortunately, the climate is fresh and temperated, and these are the ideal conditions for the White Pinot cultivation. Regarding the technical information about the production process, it's essential to tell that the long Charmat method gives a fine and continuous perlage to our brut. The characteristics we research more in this wine are freshness and minerality to exalt its acidity and sourness. For this reason, during the harvest, we try to select only the best grapes. Finally, another interesting particularity is made during the clarification phase. In the last 2 years, we started to use bentonite with great results, so we are planning to get also a vegan certification. It's ideal with fresh organic cheeses like, for example, Vacin or Goat Ricotte or Roviole in general. Ripasso Classico Superiore is produced from a different grapes variety. The first one is Corvina. It's the main grape contained in our Ripasso, and it gives to the wine a great structure with elegant tannins, and the acidity component is really well balanced. Rondinella gives freshness to the wines and an ideal sugar supply. Corbinone is really similar to Corvina and brings a lot of must thanks to the bigger grape dimensions. Then we have Molinara in a little percentage, around 3%, more or less, and affords a few minerality to the wine. And this is just to remind the old Valpolicella wines, and this is a particular decision made by our winemaker. And finally, Croatina, also in a 3% of composition, sorry, no, very top part, and helps a little bit Corvina and Corbinone, giving the characteristic color to the wine. The Ripasso aging process lasts at least 24 months. It's made with 3 different kinds of oak. If we want to make a proportion, for example, we have 10 quintals in little barrels, 5 quintals in barrique, and 10 quintals in tonneau. And this is done to avoid weighing down the Ripasso with flavors too much tied to a single type of barrel during the aging process. This precious wine perfectly combines with organic seasoned cheese, as, for example, our DOP Monte Veronese d'Allego. In every wine we produce, we always try to do our best to obtain the highest possible quality for our consumers, starting from the vines until the last phases of the aging processes. Our consumers' appreciations are the best things we have to thank a land, Valpolicella, so rich in history and tradition. Thank you.
Gianluca, thank you very much. Very good. I just wanted to say for everybody who's also listening that some people on the chat have been asking what are the prices of the wines that we've been tasting. Not just yours, but it's possible for everybody to go onto the platform and ask for contact with all of the wineries who are presenting themselves. So this is also an opportunity for the importers from France and Germany who actually have all of the export prices in the producer profiles. But for anybody else who's just tuned in, you can always go onto the platform and ask for appointments with all the wineries who are presenting their wines. Sorry, I gave this communication in your space. Let's get back to you. Pinot Bianco is something not really typical of the Veneto. It's usually Garganega. What made you decide to make a Charmat method with Pinot Bianco?
Yeah, we decided to use this grape because we really like the characteristics of white Pinot, because it can give to a sparkling wine a great structure, also with a Charmat method, so not only with the classic one, and without renouncing to all these fruity components and its sweet flavor. So these are the decisions that led us to cultivate white Pinot.
Thank you. And one last question. Seeing you produce so many cheeses and you also produce wines, do you actually export these to the same markets, or do you export them in? Is it 2 completely different channels of activity?
Yeah, they are two completely different channels of these activities. We have really a lot of references with the organic cheeses because we produce from bovine milk, goat milk, and sheep milk, and we export in all Europe, but to different clients respect to the wine in general.
Gianluca, thank you very much for
Thank you so much.
today. I will leave you and continue my journey, which is going to be still in Veneto. And I'm going to, we're going to introduce the winery Valentina Cubi. It's a family-owned winery with 13 hectares of vineyards in Valpolicella Classica. They're between Fumane and San Pietro in Cariano. And the vines, actually some of which are 35 to 50 years old, are planted to the traditional pergola trestling and also on very mineral volcanic soils. So I'd like to welcome Silvia Rama, who's the export manager, and Silvia will be introducing the two wines and the winery. Welcome, Silvia.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Michelle. Hi to everybody. As Michelle said, my name is Silvia. I'm in charge of marketing and export at Valentina Cubi Winery. We are a small winery, traditional on one side, because we try to produce classic wines, but with full organic herbs. I would like to show you a short presentation, really short. Here we are. Because I have some important stats to tell you. The winery was founded in between 1969 and 70, and we arrived to the first certification in 2010. Valentina really wanted seriously to move from conventional to organic production because she believes that respecting the environment and the soil and the vines is the future of agriculture in general. This is Valentina. It's a picture we took some time ago while we were tasting some wines and having a look to the vines. Our wines are quite particular because they are really appreciated for the harmony and freshness. They are not super structured. I will show you the color of our wines that is very particular. They are very mineral, they are very fruity and very drinkable. Even if in some of the Procella wines, we can recognize a full body, a full structure, and sometimes they are very powerful. Our wines can be powerful, but they are very elegant and very matchable with food. The vines are our most important asset because we work biodynamically in the vineyards and biologically, organically in the cellar. So we cannot bring in the cellar grapes that are not perfect. So we select a lot. We select in the vines and we select a lot in the cellar before the fermentation because we think that only the perfect grapes deserve to become Valentina Cubi wines. The soil, we have actually two kinds of soils, the highest hills and the lower ones. They are both calcareous. The highest are rich stones and rocks, and it's where we have no irrigation. So the 7 hectares we have in the highest hills have no irrigation. This aspect has its pros and cons. Obviously, calcareous soil, no irrigation, is definitely ideal for vine on one side. There is no stagnation of water. The plants go deeper in the soil, so they look for minerals. But on the other side, it's quite difficult during the dry years. So actually, our yields are never very, very high. We are normally around sono 8 la resa 8 però it's around 80 quintals, so 8 tons per hectare approximately, and maybe less. The lower yields are a little bit more productive. That means that we have to select and prune and thin out in order to receive and to get the quality we want. These are our wines. They all have their own names: Iperico, El Tabarro, Rosnatico, Morar, and Melilotto and Sincero. So from Valpolicella Classico, we arrived to Morar, that is our Amarone. We also produce Valpolicella Classico Superiore, the Ripasso, and the Recioto. And we have also particular wine that is an EGT without added sulfites and without inoculation of yeasts. We also produce some bottles of olive oil. They are not many, actually. We have around 300 plants, but it's a product we really like. I would like to go back to the camera. I hope you can see me. Yes, because I wanted to show you, this is the soil, the typical soil of our vineyards. As for the wines, if you see, maybe the light is a little bit dark, but you see that our wines are very transparent. It's because we only work with the typical grapes of Valpolicella, so with Corvina, Rondinella, and Molinara, and they are not very colorful. They are very light in color. This is a ruby red wine, but it doesn't mean that the body is light, because it's anyway a wine that is quite structured, very fresh due to the minerality and the acidity coming from our soils, and very fruity in the nose. And this is our Amarone, actually. It's a vintage that is quite young for us because it's 2012, and we are still selling the 2009 and 2010. It's something very, very particular of our philosophy, because Valentina never sells young Amarone. So the youngest one we have is the 2012 that I have in the glass now, that you have received. So it's anyway already 8 years old. We age our Amarone in 30 hectoliter vats. It's a decision we made, that our winemaker made, because he loves huge casks. It's very Italian, actually. It's a very Italian style method, because it is true that it takes more time to smoothen the tannins. But on the other side, he thinks that the wines get more stable, so they get more long aging, and it's something that really we want to count on. If there are any questions, I've told you the main things.
I have a question from somebody, from Simon Buzzacaro, and he asks, do you make Valpolicella Classico and Amarone Classico? Question.
Yes, we produce the Valpolicella. The Valpolicella, actually, this is a Valpolicella Classico. It's closed with a screw cap, but it's Classico, and we can call it Classico actually now. And we produce also Amarone Classico. We have 2 different labels of Amarone just for 3 or 4 vintages, because we began the certification, the organic certification, in 3 hectares nearby Verona, and that is Valpolicella DOC. So though that Amarone is Amarone organic, but it's not Classico. But starting from vintage 2013, we just produced the Classico one, and it's also organic.
Great. I have another question for you. There's often a lot of discussion between what is the best type of tressling for the grapes of Valpolicella, the Pergola or the Guyot. What is your opinion on this?
From we can say we have 7 hectares in probably 6.5 Pergola, and the other 3.5 they are Guyot, and the new ones are Guyot. But we believe in Pergola, actually. Valentina wanted to keep the Pergola, the old Pergolas, and they are in the upper hills. And the vines are quite old, but they are still producing great bunches, great wine. Grapes. So we believe that Pergola is the typical, Veronese style. The bunches are hanging, so it means that if it rains, the fresh air can dry them. And so we do not risk any diseases or any micro maceration during ripeness. So it's probably the old people that knew how to manage the typical Veronese grapes.
Yes, I must say that I love the color. I love the minerality. There's a lot of soul in the wine, and they're very drinkable. Thank you. Thank you very much, Silvia. Unless there are any other questions on the chat, no, I can't see any others. Except somebody said they're amazing. So that's great, from Sabrina Jacquin, who's from obviously following us. She loves the wines. So great. That's a great comment. And now we're going to our last wines, our last visit. Well, this is a double visit because we're going to go to not only to Abruzzo, but also to Puglia. We are going to be with the Gruppo Cantina Tollo, who has some cooperative, it's a cooperative of organic projects. The first is at the estate Feudo Antico, presenting 100% Montepulciano, from one of the smallest appellations in Italy, Tullum, in the municipality of Tollo. And the second is from an estate called Aura Madre in Puglia, with 100% Primitivo wine. And we have Stefano Tombesi, who's the export manager, who will be presenting the wines. Stefano, are you there? Yes.
Yeah. Buongiorno. Okay. Buongiorno, Michelle. Good morning to everybody. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, yes. We can hear you.
Fantastic. Sorry. First of all, let me say that I'm very happy, very proud to be here, to have this possibility to show the wines. Few words about Cantina Tollo Group and why we choose those two wines, the Feudo Antico Fermentazione Spontanea and the Aura Madre Primitivo. Because they well represent what is Cantina Tollo Group, because we are a quite large group, but which has different kind of production of estates, and we have the very small production, very typical, very unusual wine like the Feudo Antico Rosso Tullum, which is also a very small appellation, Fermentazione Spontanea, and the Aura Madre Primitivo, which comes from our estate in Puglia, and our collaboration, because we have been one of the first experimenting in organic growing of grapes in the area, and we also applied our expertise in other area, including Puglia. A very special wine for amateur, for expert, a wine which also is good for expert, but more commercial, also in terms of packaging, which is this is very traditional. This is a very Italian, but a new design, a more modern design, I would say. Okay, let's start from the Fermentazione Spontanea, Feudo Antico. Feudo Antico is very connected with the Tullum appellation. Tullum appellation is a very small appellation, which is, I would say, on top of Montepulciano Abruzzo appellation. So basically, it's Montepulciano grapes. The two key points of the Fermentazione Spontanea is a very unique microclimate and typical traditional winemaking and taste. Okay, I would like to show you a picture, if it's possible. I don't know if you can see them. Okay, let me check. Can you see the pictures? Sorry. Michelle, can you see the pictures?
No, I can't see the picture.
Ah, sorry. We try to share the screen.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, so to show you what we mean, this is a map of Abruzzi where you can see the white spot here is the Maiella, which is a 3,000 above the sea meters tall mountain, high mountain, and it's just a few kilometers from the coast. It's an high coast with cliffs, and the vineyards of Feudontico, of Tullum, but the mass vineyards of Tollo Group are in this area, and it's an area which came out basically millions of years ago, came out from the sea. So it's very rich in salty and mineral because it came out from the sea, and it's very near to the mountains with the rocky ground, rocky soil. This is another view of the same area. So you can see the Maiella, you can see Tollo here, and sorry, Tollo is here, and this is Ortona with the high coast and the cliffs. Okay, and these are marine fossils, which are quite easy to find in the vineyards, and this is basically what I can see from the window of my office if I look to the sea, and this is what I can see from my office window if I look to the mountains. Okay. Okay, the Feudo Antico Tullum is from a small parcel of vineyard, which is in Contrada San Batiniello, and is of course organic, and there is a very special traditional, I would say, winemaking. That's why it's fermentazione spontanea, because there's no add of yeast to make the fermentation, but the yeast are naturally coming from the grapes in the vineyards, and so we do not add anything to let the wine ferment, and we do the fermentation in low and large concrete vats, and this is to get a perfect isolation from the environment, also to keep the temperature. This is to avoid any influence in terms of taste, but also because large and low and not too high vats makes a perfect contact between the skins during the maceration and the wine and the juice, because before it becomes wine, and a perfect, an ideal contact between the yeast after the fermentation and the wine to give the wine more complexity and a very full of aroma taste, very different, with a very fruity, but also with a touch of wild. I like it very much. Of course, the very limestoney, very mineral ground gives to the wine a full body and a velvety style of tannins. Okay, the second wine is the Aura Madre Primitivo. Okay, is a modern style Primitivo. Primitivo is a very fashion wine, very commercial, also because has this style, easy drinking. Even if it's a full body wine, it's easy to drink. Also for, as we said, for amateur, for not expert people. And this is 100% organic, of course. Very fruity and okay.
That's really, very, both of them very interesting projects from Campinas, I must say. I was just wondering, you said before that the Rosso Tullum, this wine here, Montepulciano, that you use concrete tanks for aging and without any filtering.
Correct.
Yes. What is that? What is the purpose of that? Does it enhance better certain qualities of the wine? Can you just expand on that?
Sorry, I have some problem with the light. Okay. I just realized that the light was too strong. Sorry. Okay. Now, of course, as we said, the key point of this wine is to make something traditional. So the reason why we choose to make this wine with the fermentazione spontanea and in concrete water, but it's because it's the typical way which the wine was used to do in the past. So we wanted to recreate this taste and this system to see what was the outcome, and we were so satisfied that we decided to make one of our flag wines.
Yeah, thank you, Stefano. And second wine, actually, I love this. I love this label. Where does it come from? It's very nice.
Yeah,
label.
Okay. This is an original picture from the past, which we were allowed to use from the museum of the family here in Pescara, and okay, we think it's very interesting because in some way the look is very Italian, but also a little bit unusual, a little bit new style, and we like it very much. And also connected with the name, which is Aura Madre, which is a very Italian sounding name, very traditional.
Yes, no, it's very Aura Madre. Madre is always very traditional in Italy. Very important, well, very important figure. I'm just wondering also if the trend of Primitivo will continue to be one of Southern Italy's favorite export wines. What do you think?
Yeah, I personally think that for sure, because this is also connected with the tourist boom that Puglia has been doing for a few years now. And more tourists, of course, makes more awareness, more knowledge about the area, about the wines, about the food. And Puglia is, of course, as all Italy, but Puglia, it's a perfect place to go on vacation because they have everything. They have beach, they have, so I think it's a trend that they will keep. I think that this trend will also spread in the whole South. My opinion is that there is more and more interest, not only for Puglia, but for the whole south of Italy. I think I'd like to think that now Italy on wine is a little bit of a brand, and south of Italy is a brand in the brand in some way. So when the people buy wines from south of Italy, they know a little bit what they're going to find. That it's indigenous grape, that is a full body wines, and I think this trend will keep and will even increase. I hope it will increase in the next years.
Thank you, Stefano. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For presenting those two wines. So we've actually come to the end of our tour of organic vineyards from Italy. And I think it's been a very interesting and diverse journey through some of Italy's regions of organic vineyards. I'd like to really thank all the producers for having presented their wines to us. And I'd also like to thank all of those, all of the public for their participation and for the interesting questions that have been sent on the chat. There's still one more coming in from Sabrina Jacquin on the Tullum Rosso, which is nice and complex, and she also liked the Primitivo. So yes, it's been very nice to have a bit of interaction in this digital tasting from those who have been attending. And I'm sorry if we've not managed to respond to all of the questions, but we have been constrained for time as we come to our closure. Again, thank you all for contributing to, I think, what has been a successful event. And please visit the Wine2Wine business platform, where you can get more information from the producers who we've met today. I'd also like to remind those producers, sorry, not the producers, but the importers who are from, who I know there's a special group of importers from France and from Germany. I would really like to remind you, if you could remember to fill in your feedback forms and put in your preferences. These need to be sent today to your contacts, the delegates, to Angelo and in France, and to Verena in Germany. Please do that so that we can organize and set up meetings for you. So this has been a great pleasure to introduce. If there are any last questions, I'm here to take them. But otherwise, again, I'd like to thank Verona Fiere, Wine2Wine, and all the producers here who've made this tasting a special event today. And I hope this is something that will resound in the organic production of wines around the world. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Cheers.